All right, guys, we are live. How's everybody doing? Let me know. How y'all doing today? Especially everybody in hey, what's up, Erica? What's up? Everybody in the UK area. This is for you. Showing you that I care. You matter. Lately I've been doing streams where you guys have been sleeping, so you have to catch it later. So I know a lot of you guys are watching in the European area, so let me know in the chat if you're from the European area or the UK. I think someone said Portugal, maybe. Someone was from there in earlier that I saw, so let me know where you're coming from. And if you can't hear me well, let me know as well. I know Awesome Platter fan, that snowy day, you're in there, so I know you're from, I think, the UK, right? Somewhere over there. Howdy, y'all. Okay, Germany, Belgium, Spain. Oh, Spain. Okay, I thought you were from the UK. I guess I was wrong. Let me get a little closer here. I got the chat over here now. France, England, Italy. Isn't that great? You guys can all come together. And here I am in sunny San Diego. I know it's raining, I think, over where Snowy Day is at, right, buddy? Raining pretty badly out there. Bad storm. Puerto Rico. Hello from the Middle East. Wow. Canada, Ohio, New Jersey. You guys are great. Thank you all for your support and everything that you've done to help the channel, of course. We're having fun. This will be a fun stream. I think you're going to really enjoy what you see here. Who of you are yeah, right, nice and breezy in California, right, Erica? Who are you have been subscribed since just 2019? Let me know. How many of you are brand new subscribers? West Coast is the best coast. Absolutely. Who are brand new subscribers down there? Let me know. Because if you weren't a subscriber back in 2018, you may have missed this. In fact, a lot of people missed this particular piece of information that I'm going to share with you guys here about the new Switch models coming. And really interesting, actually. Some of you were aware of it. I do believe this was only on my channel. Nobody seemed to really cover it on their channels, which is weird. But this was back in July of 2018 that I posted this on my channel, and it highlights some really interesting things about the coming consoles for Nintendo for the Switch. I talked about 2 new consoles coming, and this was back in July 2018. Of course, that was when nobody even believed there was a upgraded Switch even coming at all. No one thought they were going to be releasing a new Switch that soon, because that was only a little bit after a year from when the Switch was released from March 2017 to July 2018. But I started seeing evidence popping up online and in their job descriptions and postings that they were in fact making a new console, maybe 2 new consoles. So I'm going to play you guys a video. Let's see here. And of course, this will be on the channel, so you can rewind it, watch it later, and we're going to discuss what we see here, and hope and make heads or tails of it, basically, or try to put some light onto what's going on. And so basically, it's interesting what we're going to discover here, and I've seen other videos and everything like that, but no one really covered this on my from what I'm covering here. So this is only for my channel. It doesn't whatever you guys think, whatever you guys want to believe, it's up to you. But I'm going to show you some really interesting things here today that it's going to make you think. And the only credible sources for this information are the Wall Street Journal and Nikkei. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce the name, Nikkei or Nikkei, whatever their name is. They're the only credible sources that have information on this stuff. So it's really interesting to see what you're going to see here. So, are you guys ready? I'm going to play this video for you. I'm going to turn my mic off and then we're going to watch this video. So hopefully this works pretty good. I edited this video so we cut out some of the intro stuff and everything. But this is from July 5th, 2018, okay? Let's watch. What's up, everybody? We are back. Now in this video we're going to be discussing possibly 2 brand new consoles for Nintendo coming out in the not too distant future. Possibly one of them as soon as 2019, but at least this does confirm 1 new console in development, but possibly, like I said, 2 consoles. And this does confirm, most likely from what I'm seeing here, that they have a brand new hardware team that is making these consoles or a new console in the United States outside of Japan. This comes from Nintendo of America's career and development site, where they are having job openings for hiring software engineers, hardware developers, things like that. And this is very interesting information, and I think this does confirm, obviously, that they are definitely developing at least 1 brand new console, but this looks like it could be 2 new consoles as well, like I said. So let's go ahead and take a look at the job description and requirements that they have. So let's take a look at this first one here. So when you look at this, it says description of duties: architecture, design and development of operating systems, security technology such as Type 1 hypervisors, conducting security related reviews and analysis of existing software components and subsystems, analyzing past security breaches to fully understand architectural vulnerabilities, participate in core operating system development. This could include work in areas such as device drivers and network stack development. Then it goes on to list a bunch of summary of requirements, talking about, of course, C++ experience. It seems like every time you look at these job requirements, it's always C++ is something that's involved. But more interestingly, of course, they got experience developing software at kernel level, ability to understand the most complex parts of a kernel, including MMU, system calls, scheduler, ISR, handling. But then the key here is the next part, where it says ability to study new SoC, system on chip technologies, by reading and understanding technical literature. So right then and there you see obviously that they are developing a brand new system on chip or SoC for a new console. Now I do think that this would be for a new Nintendo Switch variant that could quite possibly be releasing as soon as 2019, but we'll discuss why that is the case a little bit later in the video. And the job listing goes on to explain some other things like knowledge of public key infrastructure and low-level device drivers. This is only one job listing. There is another one that is even more telling than this one, and this one is the big one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next job listing. So here it is. Now I'm going to leave links in the description to all these job listings. However, the one you're seeing here on the screen right now has been removed by Nintendo, but I did manage to get a screen cap of it, and the link I will leave in the description will lead to basically a blank page because they did remove it. However, this is a huge, very telling description here of what they are doing. Now remember, these job postings are in Redmond, Washington. They're not in Japan. That's key here to understand what's going on next. So let's take a look at the job listing here. It says design and implement software for Nintendo platform and development environment tools. Design, develop, code, test, and debug system software. Now pay attention to this next part we have highlighted here. It's very, very important, very telling. It says create, implement, and test Windows and Linux host software. Provide feedback to hardware design for optimization of entire system performance and usability. So here it says provide feedback to hardware design. These guys are going to be working, developing, designing, creating basically everything with brand new hardware in Redmond, Washington. I believe this is the first time Nintendo will be creating a brand new console in Redmond, Washington, outside of Japan. All their other consoles have been designed and made in Japan. This might have something to do with Furukawa, the new president and CEO of Nintendo, possibly with some planning with Kimishima before he came on board, because some of these job listings were posted in early 2018. And this one also was posted in February 2018 that I'm showing here before it was removed. This is the only screen cap that's available that you're seeing here. Then it goes on to say a bunch of things about use case testing, review and analysis, test witnessing, and certification of software. Then it says they only are required to have 10% of travel, domestic and international, valid passport required for international travel. So again, this is going to be based out of the United States. And if you look on these job descriptions as well and requirements, they have absolutely no requirement for bilingual speaking or Japanese language knowledge. There's no mention of that at all. So yet again, this is going to be a new hardware team based in the United States. Looks like it's going to be in Redmond, Washington. However, there's a lot of different software developers and hardware developers in the Silicon Valley, in San Mateo, Santa Monica, San Jose, in Southern California, even in San Diego, in my city. There's also Rockstar that's there as well. So there's a lot of experience and development going on in California. So they could expand past Redmond, Washington as well if this is successful for Nintendo. But we're not done yet. Let's go on to the next part of the description here for summary of requirements. It goes on to say experience in programming embedded and application software for video game platforms and related development tools, strong programming skills in C and at least one additional modern programming language. Then it goes on to list something very interesting here, which leads me to believe that this could be another console that's in development as well. It says strong skill in either client-server based software creation using Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth, systems development tools, platform graphics, game engines, low-level drivers, or power management. So let's go back to what it says here about client-based software creation using Ethernet. Ethernet. So there is no Nintendo system that has an Ethernet port. In fact, you're probably never going to see a portable console that has an Ethernet port on it. Usually those are always on home consoles like the PlayStation 4, Xbox One. They all have Ethernet ports on them, and of course they're bigger in size as a result. Now the Nintendo Switch as a portable console does not have an Ethernet port, neither does the dock for the Switch. So while granted, of course we could say, hey, maybe they're just releasing a dock that has an Ethernet port on it. While of course that is easily possible to just put an Ethernet port on a dock, that is part of a summary of requirements of a job description that lists a whole bunch of other things involved. So I don't think this is just for a dock. I think this is for a separate console or for the same console that we talked about before with the new system on chip SoC. Here we have a possibility of having a larger console type format, which quite frankly could be a home console, or we could have a more robust type of dock that they're developing for the Nintendo Switch. It's hard to say, but those are two very strong possibilities. Now, if we go back to the other job description, it talks about the system on chip SoC having experience with new SoC technologies. That is very, very likely to be a new Nintendo Switch, and the reason why I say that is because of the piracy that has gone on with the current Switch system, and of course Nintendo would want to fix that as soon as possible. And the reason why I think this would be a 2019 release and not just like a Switch Mini, for example, I don't think it would be just a Switch Mini that's less powerful than the Switch and run current Switch games. I don't think it would be just that per se. The reason why I say that is because the current Switch is in very strong need of having not only a revision, but having the system on chip SoC be remade or customized so they don't have that piracy issue. And while they're at it, of course, since the Tegra X1 is a 2015 chip, released in early 2015, by that time it would be 4 years old, I do believe this would be a more powerful Nintendo Switch, and it would be able to run all the current games that the system has to go along with it in 2019. And why do I say 2019? Well, Nintendo just revealed that they will be attending TGS for the first time in over 10 years to have closed-door meetings, and of course we don't know who they're talking to, but quite obviously, usually almost 100% of the time when that happens, they're talking to developers behind the scenes about what their future plans are and what support they can get for their new consoles that they're about to release. That is usually always the case. They discuss with developers, and about a year later or so, you hear an announcement of them having support of third-party developers on their console. So I think this is very highly likely the case in this situation with Nintendo. We have seen that the PlayStation 5 is right on the doorstep, and so is the Xbox Next. They're coming very, very soon, and many people expect them to announce at least these consoles in 2019 to be released in 2020. And of course, as we know, the Nintendo Switch as it is right now is not getting hardly any of the new third-party ports, AAA ports from the PS4, besides just a few old ports here and there that the system can run. Now, if the PlayStation 5 comes out and the system is still as is right now, I don't see any chance of the current version of the Switch getting any ports from the PlayStation 5 going forward. So for the longevity of the system, since Nintendo has said that they expect the Switch to last till 2024 or something like that, 7 years at least, I do believe they're going to release a more powerful system that can run more modern games from the next generation of consoles to future-proof it, to give it a chance for gamers to have those experiences on the go and at home. The current iteration of the Switch will not allow them to do that with the next generation of consoles, which is coming most likely in 2020. That would only be 3 years into the Switch's lifespan. And with all the information that we're seeing here, with proof, straight up proof that this is confirmation that Nintendo is developing at least one brand new console, if not 2 new consoles, and with them going to TGS to talk to developers there, I think it's very apparent and obvious that we're going to be seeing new Nintendo hardware in 2019 and at the very latest 2020, but I do really think it's going to be next year because of all these things that are happening, and with the third-party support just not being there currently for the Nintendo Switch, I do think Nintendo and with the new CEO Furukawa are taking action, and they're moving fast to get the Switch not only updated with a new SoC to have the end of piracy and hacking and all those things. Nintendo obviously wants to put an end to all that stuff to not have it have any possibility of continuing in the future. So for all those reasons, third-party support, PlayStation 5 coming in the not-too-distant future, piracy, all those things, I really see Nintendo releasing a new version of the Switch in 2019. I think the writing is on the wall, and you can see all the evidence here for yourself that there is definitely a new console in development, possibly 2 consoles in development. Now remember that the new CEO, he speaks fluent English too. So they don't need to even speak Japanese. But it does look like that this new hardware team is going to be placed in the United States in Redmond, Washington to develop new hardware separate from their team that they already have in Japan that is in that one building that they recently merged together, their home console and portable teams together. This looks like a brand new team going into the next generation for Nintendo. And I'm really excited to see what they do. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about it. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see here. And I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. All right, guys, that's it. That's all we're going to show for this one. So what did you think? That was pretty interesting, huh? Basically, they've been working on this console for a while. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to correct from myself. Some wording I made in that video in 2018 was not really correct as far as what I thought, not as far as what I thought, but how I explained what they were doing. I'm not a developer, obviously. I'm not involved in console development. I'm a YouTuber. I have talked to developers, obviously, as you guys know, but as far as how they make consoles, I'm not an expert on how they make consoles. But basically, what I was trying to say is that they were not making a console in Redmond, Washington. They were actually testing out a hardware, like prototype hardware that was already made for them. I was kind of saying that, you know, they were making a console. That's not really what they were doing. That's not really what they were saying. They were working on software, testing out software, and they were wanting people experienced with new types of hardware, system on chip hardware, and they really wanted to get people involved back in early 2018 for this new console or consoles to test out the hardware, most likely prototype hardware to be shipped in 2019, which is the amazing connection of what I'm talking about here. This was almost 10 months ago that I posted that video. So that job description was so detailed. It was absolutely amazing. And I thought that was probably the biggest indication in 2018 that we were getting a new console or consoles, upgraded Switch, and even another Switch in 2019, or possibly at least revealed in 2019. And the reason why I went and did this again now is because the connection is so clear that it blew my mind. I totally forgot about how detailed that was when I went back and looked at the video last night. I was like, wow. Because I remembered how it was very detailed, but that was back in July, so I forgot about some of that stuff. So when I looked at it again, I was like, wow, this was so obvious back then that they were releasing a new console or going to at least reveal a new console in 2019. It was so like plain as day. And I think the only person that talked a little bit about it was Review Tech USA, just mentioning in passing that I had found some job postings that were very, very telling about a new Switch, a new console coming in 2019. Really, no one else really covered it. You know, it's kind of like a lot of, because back then, the whole concept of me telling people a new console was coming in 2019, nobody wanted to take my word for it. Basically, they wanted to see some proof, even though that was proof publicly from Nintendo. A lot of people were passing that off as simply them just researching and developing a new console because that's what they always do. But the thing that was interesting about that was the way they were doing it was so detailed and so like, hey, we got to get this done now. And hey, we're doing this in Redmond, Washington, and it's outside of Japan. We're not requiring you to even go to Japan. We're all going to be, situated in the United States and working on this new piece of hardware or multiple pieces of hardware and testing out the software on these new prototypes that we have. So the verbiage I used in that video as far as them making a new console there, that was not correct. Obviously, the actual making of the console is going to be at the Foxconn or wherever they make consoles at, these factories. Basically, it's not going to be at their development houses where you're not going to have any Nintendo engineer putting a console together. That's not. So the wording I said was a little bit confusing. So I'm correcting that now, basically, for you guys to make it more clear. So, and I'm going to talk about the Nikkei and the Wall Street Journal connection in this as well, because one thing to keep in mind let's go back up a little bit. The one thing to keep in mind is that the naming of these consoles doesn't have anything to do with Nintendo yet, because Nintendo hasn't even confirmed or denied these consoles exist. They have not talked about it. They've hinted at it, obviously, and basically they've confirmed it in their job descriptions, right? But they haven't actually publicly said, hey, we have an upgraded Switch coming, and hey, we have a Switch that's more focused on portable use coming. They haven't really said that yet. So as far as the naming of these consoles, we have no idea what they named them, and the purpose of them, we have no idea what their purpose is to Nintendo. For us, the fans, we can easily call these things Switch Pro and Switch Mini. That's what we've been calling them, but I think we got to get that out of our minds a little bit, because we don't know if that's what Nintendo's going to really call these systems when they're finally revealed. Like we said, we had talked about all those names in the last live stream, and I don't think this is early in development either. We're going to talk about that. These are basically the same consoles that the Wall Street Journal has talked about. The Nikkei article, and let's go ahead and talk about that. The Wall Street Journal is where are they located at? They're located in New York, in the United States, the Wall Street Journal. The reason why people get confused about Nikkei and the Wall Street Journal is because of they think quite possibly there's a connection in Japan because of Mochizuki being Japanese. He writes it in Japanese, he writes it in English, but they are based in New York, Wall Street, right? Nikkei is strictly Japanese. So you have two separate news outlets reporting this information, and they have been a little bit different each time. So first you had the Wall Street Journal in October of 2018 talking about that they've talked to developers or some people in contact with Nintendo that Nintendo will be releasing an upgraded Switch, just one at the time, in the second half of 2019. And Nintendo, at that time, they said wasn't sure about which things they were going to upgrade. Okay. And then in January of 2019, we had that report from Nikkei talking about a Switch portable only type of device. And that's all they talked about at that time. And that they were thinking of releasing something for just portable use. So that was when there was some confusion going on there with people saying, okay, what the Wall Street Journal talked about was the Switch portable device only, not a Switch Pro or upgraded device. Then we had, like, what was it, 2 months later, that the Wall Street Journal came out and reported, no, there's two new Switches coming, and one is going to be focused on portable use. One's going to be an enhanced console, and I did a video about this, talked about it over and over and over again, that it was not going to be your normal type of upgrade. And they never named it a Switch Pro. They never named it anything. They called it an enhanced Switch. Us, the fans, named it a Switch Pro. So obviously the fans and us, the media, have all taken that and ran with it, saying that, well, this is just going to be an upgrade to the current Switch. We don't know. The Wall Street Journal said this is going to be something that's unexpected and surprising, and they said it's not going to be your normal type of upgrade, and like what PS4 Pro is to the PlayStation 4. They're very clear on that. So, and then they compared the processing power to not being as powerful as the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, which also confused people because of all that stuff. But then when you take all that together and say, okay, but they're comparing it to the PS4 Pro and not the original base model, maybe this is more of an upgrade. That's why it's not your standard type of just a marginal type of upgrade like a new 3DS. Okay. And people were confused on that. Of course, everything's confusing to everybody right now because Nintendo hasn't confirmed anything yet. So this is what we have to go on. And then Nikkei, the Japanese publication, first of all, got their article mistranslated completely, and but then it was translated again, like by a bunch of different people, and then they said that the mini version, the portable one for portable use, would be coming out fall of this year, and then a next generation Switch will follow that. They didn't say what year or anything like that, but and the next generation device that is a full model change of the current hardware will follow the less expensive model. So that is the same exact stuff that the Wall Street Journal is saying, just in different words. Okay, there's no three new consoles coming. There's not. They've only talked about two. Nikkei talks about two. Wall Street Journal talks about two. People are getting confused, thinking that there's a third console in there. That they're not talking about Switch Pro, but again, we've named that Switch Pro, not Nintendo, and not those publications. So get that out of your mind. They're only talking about two consoles. And then, of course, the whole thing about the development, they said the development is currently in a state where it is not clear who will lead the creation of the concept, according to one developer. So the thing is that going back to what the Wall Street Journal has brought out, they're in the United States. Nikkei's in Japan. So think about that a little bit. Who are these developers they're talking to? Most likely, the Wall Street Journal is talking to developers in the United States. And from what I just showed you the connection from, the Switch upgraded version and mini looks like they're being developed or worked on in the United States, not in Japan. So when Nikkei talked to those developers in Japan, it sounds like those developers in Japan quite possibly have not received the same type of information from Nintendo and from their developer contacts as the ones in the United States have. Therefore, being not sure of when the more enhanced version is coming, because Nikkei has specialized in basically reporting on the mini version, first of all, like what they did in January. And then, because as we know, Japan is a portable based market. So the developers that they have talked to in Japan most likely are more focused on the portable nature of that console. Not saying the Switch enhanced version isn't portable, but the one thing that Nintendo has lacked is the AAA Western third-party support in the United States. So you take that in consideration. The Wall Street Journal said that the enhanced Switch has been it's playable and has been tested, and developers have played it, and they played the mini version as well. And they're talking about from their contacts that they've sourced, and those contacts as well, developers close to publishers, have talked about the enhanced version and mini version, whatever, portable version, to their, I guess, investors, things like that. You can look at the article for yourself, again, to go over it, but about the suppliers of these devices getting ready for production or starting production to produce them. So that is very clear that the Switch enhanced version and the portable version are close or already in production somewhat. What happens is a lot of time is that these consoles, they start pre-production, and then they get shipped out to developers to test their games to see if they're okay to port them to and things like that. So that's what it looks like Nintendo has done. And the Wall Street Journal was very clear in saying that Nintendo looks like they're looking to be revealing these consoles. They didn't say just the portable version at E3, as soon as E3. Again, all rumor. But the Wall Street Journal was very specific in the timing of the releasing or revealing of both these consoles, not just the portable version. I'm going to get to your questions in the chat in just a minute, because I got to say these things to you. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying so far of where the disconnect could be, but also the connection as well. So it looks like what happened is that the Japanese developers were inquiring about this new Switch hardware coming. They were told about the Mini and told about the enhanced version, but nowhere in the Nikkei article does it say that they actually played these devices yet. All it says is that they heard about some of the improvements they would be having, but they were unsure about the creation, like who was leading up the creation of the concept. So it sounds like in Nikkei's contacts got, not superficial, but just top level information about what to expect from these new consoles, but they didn't actually get to play them yet. Now, this is only referring to the developers they talked to, okay? Not for everybody. Obviously, you got to think Square Enix, Capcom, Platinum Games. Those are basically the big key third-party Japanese developers. They also have Western studios as well, and so they probably already know and probably already have dev kits for the enhanced version of the Switch. The Switch portable version, you have a lot of Japanese developers who make games specializing in just the portable nature for the Japanese market. Where you got Atlus, you got Sega Atlus, you have these other developers that specialize in more niche, I guess you could say niche Japanese RPGs, Bandai Namco, things like that specialize in these Japanese games. They may have gotten, again, this is speculation, but since this is obviously the same consoles that the Wall Street Journal is talking about and that Nikkei is talking about, there's not three different consoles. There's obviously the same two, but varying different levels of information. Since this is the case, that is why this makes sense that the Nikkei developers they talked to got top level information, but didn't get perhaps have not yet gotten actual dev kits. Maybe they will at E3, or maybe they will around this time. Maybe they're getting them right now, but the information they got is limited. It's very clear that it is limited right there. And since they have been testing these consoles in the United States, this is basically confirmed. I showed it to you. Possibly they've gotten prototypes of these devices since 2017, because those job descriptions talked about hiring these guys as early as the beginning of 2018. So the latest I think that we would see the enhanced version of the Switch at this point would be 2020, if not, hopefully I would like it to have it holiday of this year, Nothing's off the table, though, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. So the interpretation of those two articles needed to be explained because of the location and because of the types of developers the Wall Street Journal has access to in the United States and for who the Nikkei has access to in Japan. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, that it looks like the Nikkei developers have more of a knowledge of the Switch Mini device at this point, portable device, and the Western developers have actually have the consoles themselves. Maybe EA, Activision, Ubisoft, perhaps even Rockstar, who knows? Maybe they actually have dev kits already, and they already are porting games to these new consoles and in the United States. One of the main big concerns, of course, that we've talked about, at least for me, has been the revenue generated from AAA third-party support. If Nintendo was looking to make this more than just a normal upgrade from what they're saying here, then obviously they would want to provide dev kits to these AAA developers first, not necessarily the Japanese ones, because they don't have. You look at the sales for the Switch in Japan. Is it hurting? No. I mean, it's not hurting anywhere, but in Japan, it's going crazy. It's selling like crazy. Nintendo may see the priority to be the Western side first. The big boys, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, all the guys, and even Square Enix and Capcom studios in the United States, they may see those as a priority to get their ports onto the enhanced Switch first. Henceforth, the information being more clear, more direct with the Wall Street Journal. Of course, they danced around the power level of the enhanced version, but the wording of it, if you look at the context, is basically the same. It's not your normal upgrade. They're saying it's not what you would expect from a normal upgrade like a PS4 Pro to PS4. And then Nikkei further expounds on that, saying that this is a next generation device, a full model change to the current hardware. Now, the Japanese developers may have been told that as a top level piece of information. It's like, hey, we're releasing a new console that's going to be more than just, it's going to be a bigger upgrade. But we'll tell you more about it later. And then these developers that talked to Nikkei were like, well, okay, that's what we heard, but we're not sure when it's going to be released or shown. We don't have enough information yet. However, the Wall Street Journal side, they do. So pretty interesting when you think about it. So I really hope you guys take that into consideration, that the Wall Street Journal is the only one that actually gave a time frame for the reveal of both the Nintendo Switch enhanced version and the portable version, specializing in portable version. They said quite possibly for both at E3. Okay. Nikkei was more specific that the portable only or portable specialized version of the Switch would be released in the fall. That's the main thing that it said released. They didn't talk about being revealed. So the Wall Street Journal definitely has some more direct, clear information. It looks like they've talked to a lot more developers who actually play these consoles themselves than Nikkei has done. And then going all the way back as well, the article is only available in Japanese. There's not an English version available like the Wall Street Journal does. The Wall Street Journal has a fully English writer and Japanese writer. So it's very clear. It's a lot more clear what the Wall Street Journal has said, a little bit less clear, and has been confusing to the public, which I hope is a little bit less confusing now that we've kind of done this analysis on what these could mean, especially taking into consideration that they've been working on these prototypes of hardware for probably the last few years at least. And we've also talked about how the what was it? How we went over this already about how the Switch with the Tegra X1 processor is a stock chip. They had to get something out there and released, and the customized version that they could be working on. Obviously, we talked about this, that they've been working on some kind of custom chip. Quite literally, they've probably been waiting for the technology to advance to a point where they could actually start working on this more advanced version of the Switch, fabrication processes. If you remember in 2017, they got it down to 14 nanometers, 10 nanometers, and quite possibly the vendors that they're working with suggested they just wait for the 7 nanometers or 12 nanometers to be more readily available, because the current version of the switch has been selling so well. But there are so many issues with the current switch on a hardware level, not the sales, but on a hardware level. There's a lot of issues with the current switch. You got piracy, easily hackable chip. You have all kinds of things being done to the chip by modders, overclocking, and you also have the build quality of the console breaking down, chipping, cracking, Joy-Cons not working correctly. There's lots of things they need to fix upon. So, and I know you were saying about that thing with SpawnWave and whatever, but I'm telling you exactly as clear as possible from my own point of view, what I researched on my point of view, and it doesn't look like this is a console that's out for 2023, because that's not what was said. No one gave a date. The only thing that was said was the Wall Street Journal that both consoles would be revealed in this year at E3. So I don't care who if anybody's claiming they know or something, they don't really know, honestly. All we can do is speculate clearly on the things that are available that I showed you here. And that was only available, that I'm the only one that showed you that last year on my channel. So you believe what you want to believe, but no one said anything about 3 switches coming, only 2. So, take that for what you will. Believe what you want, but it's quite obvious this enhanced switch has been in development for more than just right now. It's not just starting right now. According to the Wall Street Journal, they have already have playable versions of it. So it looks like this is a portable version of the Switch, more portable version, and an enhanced version of the Switch coming that is more than just a normal upgrade that could be revealed at E3 of this year. And Nikkei backs that up. Also, they just don't know the timing of the release, and the developers they talk to don't know exactly as much about it as the Western developers that the Wall Street Journal has talked to. Very clear that they know way more about these than the developers Nikkei talked to. It's extremely clear, guys. So Nikkei didn't talk about a Switch portable version and a Pro version, basically, and then saying a next generation version. They didn't talk about that. They just talked about 2 devices. So we got to be clear on that, guys. Take it all into consideration, okay? And like we talked about before, we don't know what the name of these consoles are going to be. We have no idea. All we can do is speculate on the naming and what Nintendo's goal is, purpose-wise, for these consoles. We just had PlayStation 5 talked about and revealed a couple days ago, and then this information came out. And then we're going to have Xbox next or whatever, going to be revealed at E3. So it kind of lines up with what has been reported. So we're going to have to wait and see it at E3. The exciting thing, I think it's okay to be excited. I know there's doubts or whatever about what's going to be revealed or when it's going to be revealed, but I think it's okay to be excited about having a new Switch, at least one of them in 2019, and then another one in 2020, or maybe both at E3. Release timing, who knows? But since I'm going to E3, I'll be happy to play both at E3 if that happens. Okay, so someone's saying they didn't say they would be revealed at E3. Well, no, they did. They said they could be. So that was part of it. Could be, and early as summer 2019, they were talking about them being released. So yeah, I can go back and look for it, but I'm not going to look for it right now. But yeah, if you actually look at the Wall Street Journal article itself, if you had the pay subscription, I think Nintendo Prime went over it. It was they did say that they may be looking to reveal both those consoles at E3. Wall Street Journal said that. All right. And Nikkei has never been quite as accurate as far as details are concerned as the Wall Street Journal is. So I'm not saying they're not correct. They are. They most likely is the truth. Their information is just a little bit more limited. Okay. All right. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, that I wouldn't rule out the enhanced version of the Switch, which is known as a Switch Pro, to be revealed at E3. I'm just saying, okay? But you guys can believe whatever you want to believe. If you think it's not coming until 2023, even though it's been obviously in development since before like 2018, be my guest. It's not going to take them like 5 years to make this enhanced Switch. Not a chance. Yeah, could be. Exactly. No one says it is for sure. I never said that. I never said it. I also never said on this channel I never said anything like that. I never said anything is for sure. I said that could be and looks like maybe. And you guys make your own mind about it. I'm not here to prove anything to you guys as far as forcing you to believe anything. But I am providing you information that gives you maybe more clarity on what is going on here with these two sides, Japan, United States, and what developers each publication has talked to. Wall Street Journal seems to have a lot more clear-cut information than the more vagueness of Nikkei, when they just heard a a bit of information about it being a next generation upgrade and a more portable version of it being released this year. Nobody said they played the console. Nobody said they saw it, just from what they heard from the Nikkei side. So take that for what you will, guys. What we do know is that the Wall Street Journal is very clear. Even if they don't reveal it at E3, they were very clear that these developers have been talking to, or the publishers have been talking to suppliers, and getting to be getting these consoles ready for production. So if they're getting something ready for production, that sounds like two consoles are getting ready for production. You can't misconstrue that in any way. So either way, it looks like we're going to be getting two new Switches, one this year maybe and one next year, or both this year. So that's according to the Wall Street Journal. And the confusion is coming from them saying in the Nikkei article about a full model change. But they only talked about that one, and then the portable version. So that's two. Same with the Wall Street Journal, two. And that it will come after the portable version of it. And then Wall Street Journal says pretty much the same thing, kind of, but in the fact that there's two. Okay? All right. So that's why I did this live stream, because there's no way I could do a video that could possibly go into detail like that. Impossible. So have to go over it in detail with you guys. And the cool thing is that today is April 20th, so E3 is on June 11th, so that's only 1 month and 3 weeks away. So I'm going to be at E3, and we're going to be seeing what they show at E3 pretty quick here. So you guys don't have too much long, I don't think, to wonder what is going on here with Nintendo. If they don't reveal anything at E3 at all, then who knows? Then maybe the portable Switch won't come until way later, and same with the enhanced version. If they reveal just one of them at E3, then maybe that's just this year, and then the next one. But if they reveal both at E3, obviously we're gonna have the whole lid's gonna be blown off this thing soon. And I've been the only one on YouTube that has been following this every step of the way. So if you guys can, believe whatever you want to believe, but I have gone through every step of every hint of everything that has to do with new console development by Nintendo since early 2018. No one else has done that. So you believe what you want to believe, guys. Using public information, by the way. I'm not making anything up here. All right, so So what are your questions? Let's go up and see what's going on here. Lots of statements, no questions. Is Switch Pro a real thing? The 3 dimensions. I saw Super Male Vitality Overdose in there. Oh, there you are. The Super Switch Defo has to come out in 2020. Anything after that would seem like a bad move by Nintendo. Are you referring to the because PlayStation 5 is coming out? So the thing about that is that also the whole competition aspect. But Nintendo doesn't compete. That is baloney because they do. They compete for your time and your money. All right. So so if they're competing for your time and money, guess who's going to be competing for your time and money 3 times as more in 2020? That's going to be Sony with PlayStation 5 and Xbox with probably two variants of their next Xbox coming out, if not at least one, to be released at the same time. Maybe one's cheaper one and one's more expensive one. If you're going to have 2 next generation consoles introduced in 2020, that is a huge amount of time, attention, marketing, media coverage. Where is Nintendo going to be? Are they going to be left out? You got to think Nintendo's planning for that, right? They know. Nintendo knows what they're doing. They know this is not a surprise to Nintendo, guys. They know what Sony's up to. They know what Microsoft is up to. This is not some surprise that caught them off guard or anything. You know, they obviously have plans for the future. So to think that they're not going to release something by at least 2020, I wouldn't place your bets on them not doing that because of what is going on in the industry. They otherwise people whine and complain all the time about Nintendo's not competing for graphics and they don't care about all the new technology. If that was the case, guys, why didn't they just stay with the Wii from 2006 and keep releasing games on that? Why had they left the Wii? Well, because the developers have left the Wii. Okay, right? So why would they have to upgrade the Nintendo Switch? Well, because the developers are going to be moving on to the next generation. This is not anything out of the ordinary. This is called video games. How video games upgrade, how they advance. Nintendo, they did their thing with the Wii and it was very successful, but they had to upgrade their technology from the Wii as well. Otherwise, if they just would have focused on just the controller the whole time, because that was a huge success, it's not about specs, it's not about technology. Yeah, why didn't they just stay there then? So, Nintendo, they have to upgrade their technology just like anybody else. It doesn't matter what they tell you on the outside saying that they don't compete with other people. Maybe not directly as far as like, I'm going to compete with PlayStation 5 with 8K graphics or 4K 60 frames per second. Maybe not in that sense. But as far as upgrading their technology in a way that allows them to get games from that generation downscaled or downported easier than what it would be for a Nintendo Switch current model, that's what obviously they're going to do because that's what they've always done. They have to upgrade and continue to move on. Sahara Games, thanks for coming, buddy. There's lots of new technology out there, guys, that we talked about quite a bit on my channel about how the fabrication process has allowed for increased clock speeds for smaller chips, and how the architecture architectures in 2019 are a lot more usable for developers as long as they reach a certain power level, at least over 1 teraflop of performance a lot of these games can be ported to a more mobile type of device. And when you shrink down the fabrication process, like I said, it allows for those increased clock speeds, and it allows them to, if they were to dock it on your, like for the Switch, they increase the clock speeds because they're not worried about the battery, right? So that was on a 20 nanometer process for the Tegra X1, and they're able to get some PlayStation 4 games to run on that thing at 400 gigaflops, guys. That's like 5 times less as powerful as PlayStation 4. They're getting Doom, Wolfenstein 2, Mortal Kombat 11 to run on that original Switch. All right, real quick. Thank you very much, Michael Parker, for the $10 super chat. I really thought we would be hearing something more concrete regarding the supplemental computing device at this point. What are the chances of this device being currently developed? Of having the supplemental compute device? I talked a bit about this in my last stream, Michael Parker. I think it does have a good chance. Another thing they're working on is having the PCI Express compatibility for new hardware as well. So there's a chance they could allow for that as well. Nothing's off the table. Reed Alexander, thank you. Hello, Supermel Dave 64. Love your channel and most accurate information and mostly accurate information. Do you think the next Switch will have a 1080p screen with no bezels? 1080p screen, I hope so. I do think so. I don't know for sure. Bezels, though, that's a hope. I hope they don't have bezels, because I think they're just a waste of space. I think it would make it a lot more streamlined looking if they had no bezels. All right, so snowy day, awesome platter fan. Dave, will we get Nintendo E3 plans on April 25th in their investor meeting? I don't know. I think, what was it? The Nintendo NX, March of 2015, they announced it in a press conference. They didn't really announce the Nintendo NX in an investors meeting. So E3 plans, as far as if they are going to say, hey, we're going to stay tuned to E3, or we might have a new console. I don't think they have ever done that into their investors. They may have hinted at new hardware in development. They have actually, but they never actually announced any hardware specifically to investors. And again, I got to keep reminding people. Kimishima did talk about to their investors in July of 2017, just a few months after the Switch was released, that Nintendo was working on was R&Ding technology, and they invested a few $1 billion in that R&D on technology back in 2017. So they're working on something. Obviously, they have something in development, most likely hardware. It's not just Labo VR. Yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. 4K is wasted on a mobile system. 1080p should be the sweet spot. I absolutely 100% agree with you. I don't necessarily care about 4K besides it if it's possible to do. I have the support to do it. I have the TV to run it. I have the PC to run it. I play games now at 4K native on my PC. It looks beautiful. But when you play 1080p 60 frames on your 4K TV, as long as the output from the actual device is upscaling it to 4K, it looks great. It looks great on your TV. So I do think that 4K upscale, like Nintendo Dreaming says, will be available for the enhanced Switch. As far as it having 4K TV support, you plug it in, your system says, okay, it's a 4K TV. We'll upscale it to that. And it'll run the game at whatever resolution, 1080p, 60 frames, 900p, what have you, while you play it. It will look it will look cleaner on your screen if you do that. That's one of the rumor games. I got my water this time. I talk a lot, so throat gets dry. That's one of the rumored games. Awesome Platter fan, Resident Evil 2. Coming, that was rumored back last year. Review Tech USA said he did hear that the enhanced Switch would have then known as a Switch Pro, or if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, would have exclusive third-party AAA games that can't run on this current Switch. So, I mean, none of that has been disproven yet, guys. And in fact, we have more evidence leading towards that is the case, actually. The more and more things get revealed, the more and more that looks likely that this enhanced Switch is a console that can run games that may not be possible on the current Switch. So, like I said, you believe what you want to believe. Yeah. And Finn the Goldfish, people are saying there'll be a Mini Pro next gen model. That those are only people that are speculating, though. No one actually, with credible sources, has actually said that in their reports. Not Nikkei and not the Wall Street Journal. So, can you imagine 4 Nintendo Switch models? I know they have the 3DS kind of like that, but if you're charging $300 for them, $200, and then maybe a $399 model, and then you have another $250 model, that's a lot of space for retailers to think about. So far, all we got rumored from Wall Street Journal and this Nikkei, who is quite frankly less, as they have less sources than the Wall Street Journal does. All we have to go on is 2 new Switch models, just 2, not 3. Okay? So if you want to speculate there's 3, that's up to you. But the only actual credible people that are talking about new Switch models, it's only 2. Very clear. But I know that's not going to stop people from speculating, of course. A Real Gamer 82, was that when you were born? Dave, would it be a Switch with GPU on the base that run on 4K and this table 720p or 1080? I think an enhanced model would be a similar. It would be like a Super Switch, is what it, Super Nintendo's Nintendo comparison. A Super Switch would be the exact same kind of like concept as the original Switch, and you would dock it and you would increase the clock speeds to run at a higher resolution on your TV, take it on the go with you, and it would downscale to a lower resolution on the go. That's what I think a Super Switch or next gen Switch would be. The same but better with some enhancements, improvements, better operating system, better Joy-Cons, increase of features or decrease of features that are needed, voice chat, better online, better Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all those things, all the things that are missing from the current version. Yanko Hennessy, thank you for the $10 super chat. If you have a question, let me know. You don't, and I'll try to answer it. Oh, there you go. Do you think the Switch Pro could have a more serious VR mode, 1080p 90 hertz, that would appeal to avid gamers? It's possible, but I wouldn't get your hopes up for VR as far as in that sense from Nintendo. They're just getting kind of started with it. They've taken a 24-year break from VR after the Virtual Boy. So let's give them some time to make it better. I wouldn't go crazy demanding too much from VR from Nintendo. Give them some time to make it a little bit better first. Cardboard, obviously Labo VR is better than what they did with the red, bleed your eyes out and give you a migraine headache VR with the Virtual Boy. Let's give them some time. My TV is a Samsung. It's a 4K Samsung. Got it on Black Friday. Great TV. I don't have the model number. Super male vitality overdose. Remember, buddy, if you're right about the LPD DDR4X 12 gigabytes for this enhanced Switch model, I'll give you a shout out in a video at least. Thank God I didn't buy a Switch and subscribe to your channel early on. I'm saving my money for a new, more powerful Switch. I remember people calling me crazy, but I guess I don't look crazy now. No, I don't look crazy either. No one looks crazy because there was always evidence there to support the fact that they were releasing a new, more powerful Switch. It was always there. Just people didn't want to believe it. Keith Miller. Dave, do you think this present Switch will be forgotten about and just leave on the shelf, or do you think Nintendo will still write for it? You mean create for it? Yes, I think they will support it, this current model, until at least for the full 5 years of its lifespan. One speculation I have, this is not based on anything really, but just speculation, and is that the since we don't know the goal that Nintendo has for the Switch portable version that can also dock, that's the key there though, because their Nikkei says they heard it could dock. So that this leads to my speculation that maybe this portable variant of the Switch that can also dock, maybe they just make it more sleek and shrink down the screen a little bit to maybe 5 inches or 5.5 instead of 6.2, and connect the Joy-Cons to make it one piece. And you could and it comes with a dock, or you can buy a dock separately. Maybe that would be actually the Switch upgraded, like new Switch, and then the enhanced version, the Switch Pro, would be the full upgrade. That's one speculation, because since if they're going to be able to allow the Switch portable version to be dockable, that might be a replacement for the current Switch as far as the retailers are concerned. As far as them supporting software for the original Switch you have right now, I don't think they're going to stop doing that, because obviously they're going to be compatible with the new Switch model as well. At the very least, the portable version of it's going to be playing the same exact games. You see? So I don't think the Switch we all have currently is going to be stop supported on by Nintendo or indie developers or developers in general. Most likely they will continue supporting it until 2022 is my guess, if not longer. But as far as it being sold at retailers, that's the question. They may actually, just like the original 3DS, they stopped selling it after a couple years after they released the new models. But I think software will continue to be compatible on the original Switch model. But we know this original Switch model has problems as far as the build quality is concerned and the chip is concerned. There's issues there. So they know they gotta replace it as on a hardware level for quality purposes, piracy purposes, breaking, having the system returned, and people losing their save data because it's tied to the console. They gotta change that too. Give you backup save data, be able to locally back up your saves. So if there's a problem with the console, you don't lose it. Besides cloud saving, you should be able to do it locally for free as well. So there's physical issues with the Nintendo Switch currently that they have to replace and fix. And the only way they can do that is releasing a new variant of it. So, and as far as the how it plays on your TV, I think it's reached a limit of how good it's going to look, because Mortal Kombat 11, that does not look good playing on your TV. I've seen it. It doesn't look good. It runs good, but the amount of sacrifices they got to make is really, really, really big. So this is their main home console. So obviously, I think they're going to, as reported, they're going to be releasing an enhanced version, and we got 2 new Switch models coming. One enhanced that quite possibly could get even PlayStation 5 games because of how enhanced it could be, and one that is a nicer, sleeker version that could replace the current model, is my speculation, or sell it alongside the current version as well. When do you think these consoles will be officially announced? I'm hoping at E3. Nintendo has a free open slate at E3. They don't have anybody there besides Microsoft that they're going to be competing with. As far as attention is concerned, they can show and announce both of these consoles at E3. That is what the Wall Street Journal has said that they could do, as what the chat is so reminded of. This could. could be releasing, could be announcing in 2019 both of these new consoles. No one said 3, not even Nikkei. We need Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, you want it. When you think, when you think about it, what Reggie just said last year, R.I.P. Reggie. Reggie just said last year that they would like to have Red Dead Redemption 2. They would like to have Call of Duty. In fact, Reggie has been one of the guys from Nintendo who's constantly said over and over again they want Call of Duty on their platform. They want it, but the Switch hasn't had Call of Duty at all, and the Wii U last Call of Duty game was Call of Duty Ghosts, released at the end of 2013. Launched with Black Ops 2 in 2012. So we're in 2019. We haven't had a Call of Duty game on a Nintendo platform in almost 6 years. So if the new enhanced Switch gets Call of Duty, hey, you just made at least Reggie happy. Obviously, he's speaking for Nintendo, right? The reason why Nintendo wants Call of Duty, you guys know exactly why. It's not because they like Call of Duty, not because they like getting headshots and playing multiplayer and working on their kill streaks. It's because it makes money. Cash money. That's why they want Call of Duty. Cyberpunk 2077. Have you seen that 30-minute trailer or 30-minute demonstration of that game? I think it has like 14 or 15 million views. So that game's going to be huge. There's lots of interest in that game. All they need is to have a console that can be at least on the same processing range as a PS4 or Xbox One to get that game. Remember, the Tegra X1 is running Doom, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Mortal Kombat 11, barely. I mean, not barely, but they're running them. Extremely downgraded visuals, but they are running those games. That is it's less than 400 gigaflops of performance. It's a 20 nanometer chip. So can you imagine the amount of upgrades they could get for a chip that's half the size, increased clock speed, new architecture, new APIs, modern features that comes out in 2019 or 2020? Also, remember that I got to throw this out to you guys to think about. PlayStation 4 is based on 2011, 2012 technology. They released a console that was already about a year old tech when it came out. PlayStation 5, they're going a step above and going into the Navi range, which hasn't even been revealed by AMD yet to the public as far as what it can do. They're going a step above that. They're going like way, way up there. So PlayStation 4 is 1.8 teraflops. People think that number is just so big and high. It's not. It's nothing. It's a tiny, tiny number. Combine that with 1.8 teraflops from 2012 technology that was released in 2013. All the old architecture inside there, all the stuff. Obviously they've been updating their APIs. Sony has with to the metal stuff because God of War looks amazing, right? Horizon Zero Dawn looks amazing graphically. Obviously, they were able to accomplish a lot with 1.8 teraflops from a 2013 console. All right, so say you shrink down the fabrication process to 7 nanometers, 12 nanometers, increased clock speeds, new APIs, new architecture that's not based on 2015 like Tegra X1 for Nintendo. Can you imagine what they could do? They could quite easily have performance on the level of PS4 or above on a mobile chip if it's customized in that way, using new faster RAM. Maybe adding some extra RAM in there that's faster. The bandwidth for the Switch is pretty slow in comparison. So 2015 technology, 2019 technology for mobile tech is way more advanced than what it was back then. So the point I'm trying to get also is that even 1 teraflop, just one, not like 1.0 teraflops, could theoretically be give you more performance than the 1.8 teraflops than the PS4 from 2013, because it's extremely modified, brand new. You know what I mean? Like in 2019, the technology has increased, the fabrication process has shrunk. You can do a lot more with less. APIs have increased. Unreal Engine 4 is out. It's a lot more. It's faster. It's better. They improve it all the time. Improve performance using less processing power. So theoretically, a PS4 level of performance could be actually accomplished with less compute raw performance in a mobile chip. So that's the whole thing there. They got so much. There's so much potential for the amount of technology to be used to the level that Nintendo could have all the games coming up. It's pretty exciting because the technology is there, and it's not really about cost necessarily. It's more about implementing the ideas, implementing the technology. Because a lot of these the vendors that supply these chips, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, all the people, they charge by the bulk. Let me read your super chat real quick. Sorry, buddy. J Beatdown. I've noticed Nintendo maximizes their hardware before moving on. The Wii U wasn't HD until profit was made. Then came Wii U. Okay. Yeah, we'll see what they do. But yeah, they have more technology out there to use. Thank you for the super chat. Did I miss somebody else's super chat? No. Okay. All right. Dave, didn't you say the power of a PS4 could be shrunk into a Switch? Not necessarily the power. I didn't really say that, but more about the performance. It's all about what's possible with what you can do with what's available. So they're accomplishing things on the Switch that is, if you looked at the original NVIDIA Shield from 2015, it was running Xbox 360 games worse than what they were running on Xbox 360. They had Doom 3, they had Resident Evil 5, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, I believe what it was called, ran worse on that than it did on the original Xbox 360 hardware. Now you have the same chip in the Nintendo Switch running some brand new games that nobody thought should be possible on the system. So they really heavily modified it big time. So yeah, I think with the right amount of technology, the right type of technology, not the horsepower of it, not the horsepower, but the right kind of technology that they can implement, I think they could allow them to get ports from the next generation scaled down, 1080p, 720p, that kind of thing. We talked about this in the last chat. The amount of processing power needed for 4K native 60 frames per second is astronomically high compared to 1080p. How big do you believe the power gap between PS5 and Super Switch would be? I can't give you a number because we don't have the number yet for PS5, but I estimated in the last live stream PS5 could be up to 14 teraflops because of ray tracing and all the things they're doing with that console. So it could be if Nintendo gets the Super Switch up to 1 teraflop, 1.5, then you're looking at PS5 being right there already, like what, over 10 times more powerful than the Super Switch. But the technology they were using in that Super Switch could theoretically get them ports from that PS5 downscaled to lower resolutions, like what we're seeing on the Switch right now, because the Switch right now is 5 times less powerful and even more so in portable mode. So they got to target that portable mode for what games can run on the system. They can't just make games exclusively for docked mode, really, on the current Switch. So the Switch in portable mode is 190 gigaflops. So that is actually, let's do the math on 190. Since developers need to target 190 gigaflops in portable mode because they got to get the game to run on both TV and on the go, 190. So yeah, that's 10 times less as powerful than a PlayStation 4. Give or take. It's like 9.5 times less as powerful as PS4 because they got target portable mode. That's quite a bit. So you would have something similar to that in compute performance with a PS5 and a Super Switch. But since the chip would be brand new and all the technology in it would be brand new, the architecture would be brand new, APIs brand new, modifications to it, what have you, overclocking in dock mode, all that stuff. It's not the same as just a 2015 Tegra X1 because the chips would be totally different, you see? So the possibilities are there for them to get ports from PS5. It's all about implementation. Yeah, Hellblade works on that. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, there's compromises and everything, but they did a really good job on that. So the possibilities are actually very possible for a Super Switch, what have you, to get PS5 ports downscaled. You got to remember, it's not just about that raw power. It's about the ability to be compatible in what they're using in the actual chip. Yeah, the Switch is quite a bit less powerful than the PS4. PS4 is old too, very old. That's one advantage a little bit that the Switch has from being a newer architecture than PS4. So that may have helped some of the compatibility. But can you imagine a 2019 chip going up with PS4's new chip, PS5's new chip as well? The compatibility would be even better. So then you would have more ports from PS5 working on enhanced Switch. All right, Zelda Breath of the Wild / OOT. I think the game companies need at least a year to manufacture the system, so it's understandable PS4 was 2012 tech and Switch was 2015 tech. Switch was a Tegra X1 processor tech. So they purchased that chip from NVIDIA, put it in the Switch. The chip was designed, I believe, in 2013, 2014, and released in 2015 by NVIDIA. It's a stock chip. So that's where the advantage comes in with having a custom chip, because you can actually put your own things you want in the console. Like, wow. Nintendo could be talking to themselves saying, wow, Sony just gave us their blueprint for next generation with PS5. So let's add a better SSD drive or a better faster storage drive in our next Switch coming up. We got time now to do it. They just told us about it. Let's add some compatibility for better shaders. Let's add some compatibility from what they're doing with ray tracing. Not saying they will, but I'm just saying hypothetically, Sony just gave Microsoft and Nintendo the answer from what they're doing with their technology. So they can be like, okay, let's increase the processing capabilities of the CPU. Let's add more RAM. Let's add these capabilities that are possible, better storage, faster storage, that are coming up in 2020, and let's be ready. Sony just gave us that. So thank you, Sony, basically is what Nintendo could be saying right now. Yeah, of course, that's the whole thing about ray tracing, is that it's like a gravy thing. Like, you don't really need ray tracing. It looks amazing, but you don't need it to play the game. You can still use regular lighting effects and real-time lighting effects, HDR, things like that. You don't actually need ray tracing to have ports run. So that could be another thing that Nintendo could be considering as well. That was from TJakes88. I'm commenting on what you said there. Super Male Vitality Overdose, RTX Max Q architecture on the Super Switch. I doubt it. It's too much. All right, so Curisutina, I still feel sad. Super Switch does need a bit of horsepower for 1080p. What? I don't understand. Well, yeah, everything needs horsepower to run. The current Switch doesn't run these ports at 1080p. It's almost never the case unless it's an indie game or a remaster. So the native resolution of the Switch is actually 1080p, guys. So they're not hitting native resolution on almost any of these games besides indies. Yeah. Some people want that gravy. That's right. I am Morley. You don't some people need the gravy, yeah, sure. But to get ports, you don't actually need it. It's not a requirement to get ports. It would give it parity though. True, that would give it parity. A lot of things that Nintendo fans would like would be to have parity and not play a game that is 1/3 of the resolution, like 480p or 380p in docked mode, looking so blurry you can barely see what's on the screen. That's not really what Nintendo should be going for, because that would signify it's basically a portable that you connect to your TV, and they have to make extreme compromises. That wouldn't really make it that full home console experience. For a true hybrid experience, what you would need is to have good image quality, like native image quality in your TV. That's all, 1080p, whatever, and then on the go 720p. That's all you would. That's all a true hybrid would offer. That would be acceptable in my opinion. The extreme compromises is what's going on right now, because they're trying to shoot for the stars basically and trying to get these really big games or expansive games to run on the current hardware, and it's just not happening in the way that because quality is being sacrificed to an extreme degree in a lot of these games. Like 60 frames per second is great, but if you're going to run the game at 320p for 60 frames per second, it's just so blurry, man. I'm telling you. That's just a little bit higher than Super Nintendo resolution. Even N64 could do 480i at least with the expansion pack. So yeah, image quality does make a difference. Yeah, it does help. For what they're advertising the system for, you want at least native resolution. All right, what are you guys saying now in the chat? Let's see, what did I miss? I don't. The censorship policy by Sony, that's a different topic. It's kind of off topic, but I'm not sure what's going on there with them. So they may change that in the future. Who knows? But it's not really something I really want to discuss in this podcast or live stream. This is not a podcast. Any other questions? This has been a good live stream so far. Again, this is going to be on the channel to review at your leisure, guys. I did not watch Digital Foundry's video on Gonzalo for PS5. We'll have to see about that. That was their speculation, though. Yeah, and controller lag is a problem as well. If you're running games at 30 frames per second that are designed for 60 frames, you're going to have lag. You're going to feel it. Okay. Wow. Okay, that was a really important question, buddy. Do I have any Lego video games? No, I don't. So I'm just messing with you. Awesome Platter fan. All right, let's see what else you guys saying here in the chat. Any questions? Everything I've showed here in this video was public information, added with some speculation on my part. Everyone has heard rumors behind the scenes. I've also heard rumors, but this is not what I'm trying to do here, is share rumors with you guys. I'm just trying to give it as clear as possible understanding of where these two reports from Nikkei and the Wall Street Journal are coming from. There is no third Nintendo Switch console that anybody is talking about here from these publications. They've only talked about two. That's the very clear thing I want to make crystal in this live stream. Anybody saying three consoles is speculating, and that's not what's being said from these publications. Yanko Hennessy, thanks for the $10 super chat. MX, $10? I don't know. Is that money? Is that real money? What is that? Rupees? I don't know. Anyway, thank you though. Did you have a question? I'm looking for a question from you. You can ask, if you're going to send me a super chat, you might as well ask a question. Do you think the Switch Pro will have 4K playback for Hulu Plus and Netflix apps? That's very possible, Tony. As long as it can output at 4K, it doesn't mean the games will, of course. But if it can output it at 4K for TV support, the Netflix could technically be 4K, like Xbox One S runs. They run 4K upscaling for things like Netflix and for your games to run upscaled. Brandon, do you think $400 price tag for their Pro model is the best? Like I said in another live stream, depends on what they offer. If it's really cool, and they lay out all the upgrades you're going to get with it, all the enhancements, then I think $399 would be acceptable for me. Maybe not for you, but I'd buy it. Depends on what the upgrade is. If it's not that much of an upgrade, then I think that might be too expensive. Do you believe a truly upgraded Switch will come this year? One that is more than a marginal upgrade? I think there is a chance. Because if you were watching what I brought out earlier, those are the same, pretty much they're talking about the same console. The Switch Enhanced, Pro, and the model upgrade is basically the same thing that the Wall Street Journal is talking about. It's not a third console. Because the Wall Street Journal was very clear that it's going to be an upgrade that is not what you would expect from a normal upgrade. They didn't say it was a next generation console, of course, but they were dancing around that. Maybe they weren't able to talk about it in more detail. Maybe developers weren't able to be more specific due to NDAs. You know, things are getting leaked out slowly. But again, there's only two consoles they're talking about here: portable aspect and upgraded aspect. So do I think this more upgraded one could come out this year? Yes, I do. Do I think it could be next year? Yes, I do. Do I think that could be revealed at E3? Yes, I do. Also, the opposite to that too is that it wouldn't be revealed this year or come out this year. But I don't think there's a third console. I don't think this means a third console because there's no evidence of it, really. The verbiage is pretty much the same from the Wall Street Journal. This is an upgraded system that's not... you'd be foolish to think it's an upgraded system just like how Sony did with the PS4 Pro. They said that, plain as day, and compared it to a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X in specs, saying it won't be as powerful as those two consoles. That's what they said, plain as day, guys. Nikkei said this is a next generation full model upgrade, and then there's a portable version. That's all they said. So there's no third console here that I'm seeing. No one ever said anything. I'm not debunking anybody, okay, guys? This is my what I'm showing here is that it's basically there is no evidence of a third console. That's basically what I'm saying. I don't care. I don't care what anyone else says, whatever. I don't see any evidence of a third console. No one's saying a third console. They're only saying two. And the verbiage is very clear, at least to me, that there's only two of them. Okay? So, unless if the Wall Street Journal comes out tomorrow and says there's three consoles in development, then yeah, but they're not. They were a lot more specific than Nikkei was, right? The Wall Street Journal was very specific. These two new consoles, the Switch Enhanced version is not a normal upgrade from the like a PS4 Pro to PS4. They were very clear on that. Specs would not be as powerful as a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. Everyone said, of course it wouldn't be. But look at the context of what they're talking about. It's not a normal upgrade. And it's not as powerful as the PS4 Pro or Xbox One X. And then they talk about a more portable version of the Switch as well. That's two consoles. Nikkei, less information. They say the enhanced version will be a full model upgrade, next generation device. The portable version will be coming out in the fall. That's pretty much all they heard. And developers didn't get as much information. They haven't played the Switch Mini. They haven't played the enhanced version. All they said, it wasn't clear to them that where the creation of the concept was coming from. And if you looked earlier in the video, it basically looks like it's because that the developers they talked to simply didn't get enough information from Nintendo yet in Japan from Nikkei. This is not an American publication. The Wall Street Journal is. So, and like I showed in the video earlier, these consoles have been tested, the software on their hardware for the past couple of years. Developers have already been playing both of these consoles already, according to the Wall Street Journal, and they could be revealed as soon as E3. Could be two consoles. That's it. So just going by what is factual information, basically, right? We would consider facts. Close to factual from these publications. James Jarvis, thanks for the $5 donation. Hey Dave, do you think Iwata's passing changed Nintendo into going after the red ocean? No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going for extreme power. I don't think they're doing that. I think what they are trying to do is get more games for the future, because every console that comes out, you want to have the support from third parties. You want to have those games to run on your console. I think that's all they're doing, guys. It's not about having 8K graphics or ray tracing. It's just about getting some games. That's all it is. Switch is getting a lot of indie games and a couple AAA games, but with heavy compromises. Maybe Nintendo doesn't want to deal with that anymore. Maybe they want to have a console that can just have more parity, with downscaled resolutions. And if they do have that, though, I guarantee you it's going to sell really good, because you got some games coming up in the future. If they're portable also, man, and they look close enough, like Cyberpunk, for example, whatever Bethesda's coming out with next, whatever games coming out in the future they can think of, the next Grand Theft Auto, whatever game it is, new Resident Evil, if it looks close enough and you can play it on the go, I guarantee you they're going to be selling like hotcakes this enhanced Switch, even if those games can't run on the current Switch, because they have to upgrade their hardware. That's just how technology goes. They released the Switch in 2017 towards the end of the PS4's lifespan. PS5 was already on the way. The timing is just not there for them to not upgrade sooner if they want games. Yanko, thanks again for the MX $20. Can someone tell me what that means? Because I don't even know if I don't even know what that is. I want to give you credit for that, but thank you. I don't even know what that is, though. If it's actual money or if it's just rupees, I don't know. Yeah, it has the chip inside TJX88, 1 teraflop of FP16, which equals to 500 gigaflops of FP32. The switch is downclocked to a certain degree for heat or whatever, so it's about 400 gigaflops when it's docked. So it's about 800 gigaflops of FP16. So it's not the same. It looks 1 teraflop looks good, but FP16 is not what we're rating it against. So 1.8 teraflops for the PS4 is FP32. So for FP32, the switch is 400 gigaflops. That's what we're comparing it to. So it looks good on paper, but in actuality, the actual performance, that's not really 1 teraflops of FP32. Mexico money. Okay, all right. Well, thank you for the pesos, I guess, right? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, buddy. Either way, I just didn't know what it was. Appreciate the support. Jesus, or probably Jesus Fig. The Joy-Con drifting is becoming and is happening so much that sooner or later will become a real issue due to cost of Joy-Cons. Do you think that this will affect the Mini? I think they're going to release upgraded Joy-Cons along with the enhanced Switch, what have you, and then release it that way. And they will release those at retail. Maybe the original Joy-Cons won't even have any style changes to them. They'll just be upgraded that way. But it would be nice if Nintendo said that they are maybe like modified Joy-Cons, or maybe said something about that they're better, so you do know you can get an improved Joy-Con if you have problems with it. Yeah, I'm glad you understand TJX 88. Okay. Yeah, you guys have a lot of problems with that. Have you experienced a lot of problems with the drifting, haven't you? It's getting worse and worse as time goes on, because over time when it wears on that plastic. SpawnWave took it apart and did a video on that, of why it breaks down over time, because basically it's metal degrading over the plastic inside the analog stick connection, so it's not going to rest on it over time because it's rubbing against it down like a file. Not good, bad. So they do need to upgrade that big time. Okay, do you know what DK stands for? Donkey Kong, right? Mucho says, I don't mind paying $500 if it means future-proofing it. Yeah, but you know Nintendo's not going to do it that high. That is pretty expensive. You'll get some enthusiasts to buy it, of course. Tech enthusiasts like myself would buy that, but that really wouldn't sell too much. Maybe. No, I don't think so. Oops, I don't think it'll sell that much. Drifting and Bluetooth issues, yes. Yeah, they need more Bluetooth support. They need to have that. I did a video on that recently. And they need to increase the Wi-Fi quality as well. People have had issues connecting to Wi-Fi even in their homes, getting really low signal for no reason on the current Switch. 2 teraflops with the latest technologies and APIs and all the latest architecture. I do think that would give it the future proof it needs at lower resolutions. Let's see. What else. What else is saying? Who else is saying stuff? Vegan Games. I'm going up in the chat now. Can the Switch get to a base Xbox One level S level power? Are you talking about the current Switch? The current Switch, obviously. No, even the new one. Yeah, easily. Very easy. that shouldn't even be debatable. I mean, that is like ridiculous. Xbox One is only 1.3 teraflops, and it came out in 2013. Easily. If they just have the newer fabrication process, add the newer architecture in it, I'm not saying it has to be 1.3 teraflops, but the performance level of it easily could be Xbox One S. Easily. They already have the Apple iPad Mini, they claim, which is 2K resolution, can run Xbox One S performance. And that's $399. My video game news. Hey, what's up? It looks like you made it. So I'm not going to be on much longer, guys. It's already been almost 2 hours. I want to keep this. I don't want to do 3 hours or 2.5 hours. I think I made my point clear. And that information was exclusive to my channel. No one else covered it. So no one else understands. So except you guys, right? You guys understand. But yeah, no one covered that information in 2018, and it explains exactly, pretty clearly, why things are happening the way they are with the Switch enhanced version and the portable version of the Switch. That's also dockable, rumored. It's pretty obvious to me what's going on. They're making these. They've been working on these consoles in the United States. Wall Street Journal has been talking to developers in the United States who have played the Switch enhanced version and who have also played the Switch mini version. They say it's not a normal type of upgrade that you would expect. You would be wrong to think that. They say it's not like a PS4 Pro to PS4. It's not like that type of upgrade, they said. And then Nikkei comes around and says this is a full generation new model coming after the portable mini version. It's very clear. And also, like I said, this is a review. The Nikkei talked to Japanese developers. Wall Street Journal is located in New York. They most likely have talked to AAA third-party developers who have access to these devices, and they know that these systems are being starting in production soon. So put your logical thinking caps on, guys. These are the same. The enhanced version is the same console that the Nikkei article is talking about. Nikkei has less information from their developers because it looks like they've only heard superficial on top level information that a new system's coming. They just don't know when exactly. They just heard about the mini version in more detail. Wall Street Journal has heard way more detail about the enhanced version and when it's coming and when we could see it. They've actually played it. They talked to people who played the consoles. So, like I said, believe anything you want though. But I've laid it out extremely clear to you guys. And again, that video from 2018 was July 5th, 2018. And we watched it in this live stream. Very clear. This is not a new concept that they're working on. They've been working on this enhanced version probably even while the original Switch was in development. You see what I'm saying? So, and then they have been hiring guys to further test prototypes of it since the end of 2017. It's all there for you guys to look at. So that is why I feel what I'm saying is more clear. I have no reason based on the evidence provided to speculate that there's a third Switch somewhere in development. I've laid it all out for you guys, 100% crystal clear. Go back and watch the video again. All right, guys. So I'm gonna have to get going. Let's see. I did this. It's 1:50 my time. So I do have some places to go. And I do thank you all for coming out, you guys from the UK and Europe. Love you guys. Thank you for all your support, for coming out and supporting me across the world. Wherever you are in the world, Germany, Middle East, wherever you are, thank you guys so very much for your support. Thank you all for your support in the United States, Mexico, South America, Portugal, wherever you're from, Canada. I got some guys in Canada as well. Thank you guys very, very much. Please hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. Watch it again. Think about it clearly in your minds. You know, remember the whole naming aspect is what we have come up with, not Nintendo. Nintendo thinks these consoles obviously could be something different to them than what they are to us. There's only two that were talked about by the Wall Street Journal and only two by the Nikkei article. All the information is there for you to dissect and review for yourself. So if you did enjoy this live stream, guys, in this video, please hit the like button. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one. Have a great day.